ounce pretty blue. Stuff in your puff pig, snuffing with my fuck stick. 22-cent booty pig, 24 make movie flick. 26 mile high club, 3 Sims in the bathtub. Geechee for the lap up. Pray to God you meet each other in the mall or something. Ex shooters that hate me, cause I fucked her best friend. She wanted to be a lesbian. Me too, fat bitch on the E2. Back boom on E2, beat you, slide to your one walls. Ebony, POV, met you on Pornhub. Hashtag, all cash, fat ass, no water. Bookings, money daughter. Oh!
See? Oh!
I'm not coming in next week. God damn.
Boy said,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what's
So
up.
I've never sounded that way in my entire life. I'm taking next week off.
Say next
Just
week.
because everybody been gone. You know what I'm saying? Jen, you was gone last week. Jen gone this week.
Oh,
so.
yeah. But you know, Jim with the babies.
Yeah, the babies, man. You know,
yeah,
babies get sick. You gotta just
shout out to the babies. Over
shout out
everything.
to the babies.
Everything good with that.
My
so,
girl Jewel, Gemma don't like me, huh?
Who?
Gemma,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You know,
That's right.
kids don't like me when they little. They don't like me at all. They cry when they see me. They frown when I get close. Think it's the bed. I don't know. They don't like me when they babies and stuff. But when they get a little older and they realize that Uncle Carl don't have no rules and stuff.
Yeah.
He just let anything go down. That's when they
But babies got their own personalities and
They say babies don't like you. There's a problem though, so it could very well
problem
be
with the baby or problem with you.
No, definitely problem with the baby.
Yeah,
Ain't nothing wrong
problem
with
with
me.
the baby. Yeah, something wrong.
Baby
with
retarded.
that.
I'm
Yeah,
stupid babies. You know
something
what I'm
wrong
saying?
with
Baby's stupid. They don't know no better. They dumb.
But like Jen would always say, this is the one,
The only.
the
To
two
real radio. We need
See,
a
we need Jen, man.
female
That's what I'm
voice in
saying,
there
man.
just to soften
Somebody
that
off camera,
soften
but
that
she
thing
faking
up a
though.
little bit.
I'm pointing at her though, but she faking though. It's all right though. But anyway, so yeah, man. What's
How was your
cracking,
week?
man?
How was your? We haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah. Nah, it was all right, man. I mean, the turkey, man. Turkey got
Turkey,
me, man.
yeah. You know, it's
Turkey
funny.
put me
We
down,
did
man.
last week. We didn't wish anybody happy Thanksgiving. Jen doesn't do Thanksgiving,
right, yeah.
and I be stoned, so I be forgetting sometimes. So we didn't wish anybody happy Thanksgiving. But I had a good. I told her I went to my grandmother's house and hung out with my grandmother. She got Alzheimer's, so it was kind of cool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She had the same shit over and over again for like an hour. It was great. It was cute. You just take all this food home. All this food. Oh my God! All this food. Oh my God! All this. Oh my!
Just
I swear, for like
that's
20
what
minutes.
it's
Then she told another story for like an hour. It was great. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
It's a good holiday. It was a good holiday.
I got you. Yeah, I mean, everything was cool, man. Chilling with the family, man, kids and everybody over there. And had a good food, though. Good food, though. Yeah.
Is there bad food on Thanksgiving?
Yeah, it is. It's the food that be left over. Like, a lot of it be left over, not just a little bit. It just be like a lot of it left over, yeah.
I'm talking to my brother, brethren.
What,
You know
you
exactly
messing
what I'm
up?
talking about. Now, he know what I'm talking about. That's all I'm going to say about that. About Thanksgiving's food.
Oh, yeah.
But I cooked, and
bro-
we went to
bro
my
messed it up,
grandmother's
though?
house.
Bro messed it
No.
up?
My brother don't mess up no food. You know what I'm saying? He don't.
I got you. Oh, yeah, shouts out to, the I'm so
DC.
DC.
So I've been
remember
drinking. It's been a
Miss
battle.
Francis.
It's been a battle in my house to drink out of that I'm so DC cup. Like she's plotting on that joint. Like,
Oh, yeah.
It's terrible. It's terrible. Can't have nothing.
Yeah,
Can't
I
have
do the
nothing.
shouts out, though, man. So
Yeah, that was dope. So this week's wrap up. What happened this week? More
There's just a whole bunch of bullshit, man.
more Donald Dump. I've been calling him Donald Dump all day. Donald Dump, more him.
Yeah, a whole bunch of Donald bullshit. Yeah, pretty much.
I'm laughing because GM is going through the motions right now. They are about to close some plants, lay off some
I think
people.
about 5 of them.
And it's crazy because Obama saved him. I recall.
But remember that money he gave them, man. They had kicked that up to like the higher ups and gave them some, kickbacks
Stupid
and
bonuses. Stupid
and all
bonuses.
that.
You know what I'm
So,
saying? For almost bankrupting us, we're going to give you a bonus. And then, Trump came through with the tariffs. And I just find it funny that every industry that he set out to bring back is closing. All of his number one supporters, the people that voted for him, the number one nail factory in the United States, it's a factory somewhere in Middle America that makes like almost all the nails used in construction work. Mm-hmm. Every nail that you buy from Home Depot, these people, they about to close down. GM about to close down. Yeah, and they all were Trump supporters. Bring the jobs back to the factories. Bring
Right, they
it
taking
back
them
to
jobs
America. No
overseas,
more
yeah.
China and Mexicans.
He duped them though. I mean, think about it though.
Straight pulled the wool over their eye. He told you he was going to do it though. It's crazy.
Yeah, he just duped them though. I mean, that's at the end of the day.
He pulled a fast one on him, and then I just That's pretty much the whole week. Donald dump. Something else happened this week. I forgot, but it wasn't as I laugh every time a plant closes. I know people are losing their jobs and people about to be homeless and have to move back in with their parents at 65 years old and you know what I'm saying, and moving with their kids and all. But you voted for this idiot. You did this to yourselves. You're losing your Medicare, your Medicaid,
a whole bunch of
everything that that you hate Obama for. Trump is taking away, and you guys are just. My aunt asked me, "What does he have to do for people to realize how much of a piece of a shit he is?" And I was like,
Right, he got 1 million passes, right?
I don't know. I mean,
ain't nothing sticking, right?
Grab some pussies. I don't know.
Like
I mean, what else? What hasn't he?
Now,
What hasn't he done in his time? Gone golfing like 170 times. Like he's gone golfing more than you've been in office. And then this fucker says, "If y'all don't give me the money for this wall, I'm locking the government. I'm just going to stop the government from functioning. I'm just going to lock the whole game up." Like, what?
Yeah, he going crazy with it.
What?
And then remember the joint he said today, like the OJ, I ain't do it, but if I did though, when they was talking about the whole Russia thing, because that's all of it's coming
Your
down.
man tried to give Vladimir Putin a penthouse in Trump Plaza in Russia, $50 million before he was elected. $50 million. This is just. I don't know what more he has to do. This is corruption at its finest. This is just.
We're gonna keep seeing how it unfold though. I mean, it's always something new with him. So man,
it's almost comedy at this point.
Yeah,
it is. It's dark comedy. So this month it's National Adoption Month.
Okay.
I know a bunch of people that have been adopted, and I know a bunch of people that have views on adoption, like who should, who shouldn't. But thanks to adoption, man, I got the family that I have. My lady was adopted. You know what I'm saying, which gave me my beautiful son. You know what I'm saying, and everybody needs a home. So today for Adoption Month, we have Shanita O'Neill from the FCN Foundation.
Okay.
They deal with foster care and things of that nature. And then we have Miss Levita and Miss, I didn't get the second. Jackie, no Charlotte, no. Jackie Hawthorne. It was the third one that was supposed to be coming, but they didn't. Uh-huh. And they actually grew up in the foster care system, so they'll be able to tell us firsthand, what that is and what that's like. So we're gonna take a quick break. I'm gonna go get Miss Shalita O'Neill, and we'll be right back.
To Real Radio.
We're back.
What's up?
Chuck left us. Chuck was like,
I'm
hey,
somewhere over here, right?
he rolled out.
Somewhere.
Can we get my man in the box?
Yeah,
All
coming
right.
up inside. They know I'm here. They know I'm here.
Don't block my guest now. No.
Nah,
You
we good.
Y'all
Nah,
good. Y'all good. Nah, he going a little
Yeah,
box.
y'all gonna see me in a
Press to
second.
get his own
Yeah.
box. Thank y'all for coming through. Thank y'all.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us.
So, first, introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about yourselves.
So my name is Lavita Staten. I am from DC. This is my sister Jackie here. We're both from DC. I guess to say a little about myself, I'm a mother of two, have a nonprofit for special needs, and I do have some experience with, I don't want to say necessarily foster care, but being labeled, I guess, a foster child.
Okay, you said you don't want to. You said being labeled a foster child. What do you mean?
Like our stories are a little different. We're blood sisters. We share the same mother.
Okay.
But I was actually put in a family's house, opposed to my sister's situation is a little different.
Okay.
Like I was adopted by my aunt,
Okay.
but I didn't go into the actual foster care home, opposed to her.
So,
Okay.
What exactly? So you were adopted straight into a family, and you were put into what is a foster care situation?
So we both were split into family homes.
Okay.
But they had a different occurrence where they had to be taken out of that family's home and be put into the actual system, foster care system, opposed to I was adopted. Like we didn't have parents. Our parents weren't there. So I was adopted by my aunt and she raised me. But she and my other sister actually went into foster care.
Okay, so what is foster care?
I guess the difference is, I mean, how do you want to say it? I guess the difference is when you're not when you're in a system, and you're in a system either way because you're not raised by your child, by your parents, biological. But when you're actually put into a system where you're going to have someone that's going to come either take you from a group home or going to take you into their homes and raise you, and they're actually getting a stipend a month to actually take care of you.
I'm used to, when I think foster care, I had a couple buddies in foster care, and I always thought of, for them, it was a group home situation. Home by this time, home by that time, out by this time, in by this time. Basically a house full of guys,
right.
Young men or whatever. But then you also hear about the foster. You have the parent, the family that brings in kids. They come through. They bring them through. Then they pass, almost like a pass through, not a pass through situation, but they bring them in, take care of them for a little while. Oh, my mic. I'm sorry. Age, maybe. Yeah, up until a certain age, or I'm not sure. So I'm just kind of.
Yeah. So kind of think of it like this. Like you know how you hear about formal daycare. Like formal daycare is actual at a center. Informal is when you're actually in a home, but I have the child care license to take care of kids in my home for a certain amount of kids. So kind of think of it like that, like informal, which was her, and I'm formal because I'm in an actual family member's home, but we are both adopted from our parents, if that makes sense.
Now, how did that? First of all, how did your different experiences? How were the experiences different? Like you said, you were in a family's home, and you were.
It was different. I mean, because we were both separated from our parents and we were both put into family members' home. I mean, we've always had a relationship, but the relationship kind of got a little tough when they were kind of taken out of the family members' home and put into the actual foster care system, group home, like you said. So it kind of tugged away a little bit. But initially, I mean, we kind of grew up in two separate backgrounds. Like, I mean, I kind of feel like sometimes people look at me like the spared golden child, but that does not mean that I had it all good, you know?
Right.
But their situation was a little more tougher because they were not with family and they were actually with strangers and they had to go by all those rules and regulations and group homes and, like they moved around a couple times.
How was that for you being, in a less stable, I guess?
Well, when I was adopted, I was probably a couple months at the time. So me getting older, actually kind of knew slowly like what was going on as far as, the older I got, the more stories I hear and, so I got adopted. I would say I was probably like maybe 7 months, something like that. I'm not sure. And my sister, who's not here, she was probably like a few months older than me. But we left that house when we was probably 11. I was 11 and she was 12, and we went into a group home. The first group home was called Boys Town. It's off of Sergeant Road. Um, it's like a unisex. You have females, you have males. One side is the females, one side is the males. Same underneath the same roof though. But we stayed there for a certain age. Then we went to another group home called Iona Whooper Home. That's off of Shannon Road. I think that was in
Northwest or something like that.
yeah. So not too far from the DC tunnel. So we went from there. Then after there, I got adopted by another family, and from there it just was like a independent living situation. You know, I was like on my own, learning everything, and the streets raised me per se because it seemed like I was in the street because I was going from house to house, and you know, I met a lot of people along the way. It's been I had my ups and downs every day, and you know, but I always attended school. I always was a motivation to my other peers and housemates and everything. So I kind of went through the downfalls a lot more than reaching the positive sides. But the positive side was that I continued to go to school and do what I got to do. And you know, I graduated from high school. I did some college a little bit, and then I went to cosmetology school. And now I got stuck. I had my first child at the age of 23. Her father passed when she was like 5 months, so I had to pick up a job really quick. So I settled for Trader Joe's. I've been there for like 12 years now, and everything is just gradually growing. Like my life is changing. I do not regret my past at all. I believe it actually made me stronger, you know, because it's like I've been independent for so long. I'm just used to it. And I think I got a taste of the real world, and I feel like there's nothing that could break me.
You took my next question was how did that impact, you know, that you know, instability, how did that impact you, you know, growing up? But you just basically went into it. It you know, the bumps and bruises along the way. And
you come across a situation, and you never know the outcome of the situation, and you just pray and thank God for putting positive people in your life to better your situation. And I came across some positive, loving people, and they was like really there. They had my back, so it just felt like I could do whatever. You know, even though I didn't have the support from my biological family, but I had support from strangers. I had support from group home staff. I had support from my housemates. You know, it was like, you know, everybody had their little cliques in the house, and you know, everybody just was supportive, and everybody had each other back. And to me, when I was in the group home, it felt like I was in college. You know, because it's like a lot of people. You have like at least maybe 10 to 12 girls in the house, different ages, you know. You have the bully girls, you have the nice girls, you have everybody had their own little cliques and stuff. But I got along with everybody, you know. I feel as though if I can make people laugh, we all get together and, you know, just have some fun. And I just felt like everybody got along. And plus I knew how to do hair. So I was doing everybody's hair, and, you know, so everybody used to call me their little sis, and, you know, and I used to design clothes and everything. So I don't regret my past. I do regret having, you know, that moment. Sometimes you think like, I wonder how life would be if my mom was here and my dad raised me, and, you know, would life be okay, or would I have to go through this, or, you know. But I mean, I have those moments sometimes, but I don't regret it. I don't regret my past at all. I'm thankful that I could actually say that, and despite, you know, the negative things I witnessed, you know, not just for myself, but for my other sister, you know, and she still trying to get over that hurdle, but she's not quite there yet. But I'm glad that I can express myself to people and kind of like lift them up a little bit and let them know that just because you're going through the storm doesn't mean a rainbow is not at the end, so.
Now, were you and your sister able to stay together, or was it a thing of trying to split y'all apart? Like, how does that work when
My
your
sister
siblings?
was very, she was kind of out of control.
We'll say emotionally troubled.
Yeah.
For better lack of term.
I mean, naturally.
She spoke her mind a lot, and if she felt like she was mistreated a certain way, or somebody disrespected her, or it just, and she couldn't let go of the past of what happened to her in our first home we was in. It was abuse. I'm not gonna go into details, but some things it's just hard for certain people to let go and to get over that and move on. But she was just like, she had so much, and I want to say I want to say that it was pretty much like she was the one that was going through more than everything was happening to her, more so than it was happening to me. And me being young, I had no idea of like where it came from, how it started, and till I started, seeing little things, and the police came and got us from the house and took us away. So, I started figuring things out, but it's not easy for everyone. It's not easy.
Yeah, no, I understand, and I just know, sometimes like the effort to keep families together, when they go into the system, as opposed to like separating them and breaking them up,
Yeah.
So was there an issue with you all connecting again? Like,
So I don't think there was an issue. Because like I said, like our families were like families, but I think we always stayed connected. Like there wasn't a celebration that we didn't celebrate together, like birthdays,
That's
Christmas.
good.
Like I remember we met several times, like at a different building or different locations, or even when I was old enough to get on the metro bus and I would catch the train and the bus all the way over to where you guys were. But I think it was just like differences, or maybe the people that actually became responsible for us couldn't keep all of us together. I don't really know the depth of that, but
I think
from what I heard, that's kind of what happened. So so it kind of became like a split thing, but I don't know. Maybe because they were closer in age, I'm a little older than them. Maybe that's why them two kind of stayed together. I suppose. Yeah. But far as the growing up and the keeping the relationship, we pretty much kept that between ourselves as we got older. And like I said, as I got older, like my goal was to, like, I'm gonna adopt my sisters when I get 18. But life went a different way, and it didn't go that way. But even after those troubles and everything occurred, like we still kept in touch.
Okay.
So how did being in foster care and having that separation from your sisters and still maintain that family, how did that shape your adult life? How did that shape how you how you conduct your current life? You have kids, right?
I do.
Yes.
So
I hated it.
We all have 2 kids.
I hated it as a kid. Because the first thing kids want to know is like, where your mother? Where your father?
I'm here.
And then you got to make up an excuse. Well, like, they at work. Like you don't. When you're a kid, you're not embracive with that type of information. You're not open to sharing that type of talk. So it's just like you make up a reason, or you're making up an excuse, and like, oh well, I live with my aunt, and
vacation,
let's skip the subject. And actually, my friends always thought I was the cool kid because I guess I had a little more leeway, but I wasn't happy about not being able to say that I have parents, and then you guys keep telling me about your mother and your father, and those type of things. So it kind of hurdled me a lot. It affected a lot of my decisions as an adult. So but now for my 2 kids, I just try to preach to them, like, I know I might get on your nerves. I have a teenager. Okay. So, she's like, oh, I don't want to hear this. Listen, I had my mother to tell me some of this stuff. You know what I mean? And I'm not telling you to be a hurdled mother or to helicopter you or whatever, but I'm telling you to actually guide you because this is what I know. And I don't want you to make some of the mistakes that I've made, but I'm learning to know that you kind of got to let your kids just free away and kind of learn on their own. But I feel like there can never be anything that can actually help you to get over whatever it is that you went through emotionally, not having a mother and a father.
Oh, I
mean,
definitely
my aunt
agree.
raised me, and
Mine too. So I
love my aunt dearly. I love my parents, but there's a different type of respect.
But having to, I told somebody the other day, I said having to consciously not call your aunt mom.
Yeah.
Having to, all the things that you go through when you, because and it's kind of, I was thinking to myself while you were saying it, it's like almost like a black family thing where your grandma, your aunt, something happens in your family, and you go to your aunt, or you go to your grandma's house, and that's who is responsible for raising you. But like your situation, my brother and I'm 7 years older than my brother, so we couldn't live together. So he had to go to my grandmother's, I had to go to my aunt's house. So that kind of our relationship. We were still close because we were all, the only two we have, so it's just us. But you start to kind of separate.
Kind of took a drift, yeah.
So I definitely understand, but the hardship that nobody thinks about, like the holidays, where's your mom? Why do you live with your aunt? And kids don't know, and you piece of shit parents that know better. I had parents that would have me over for lunch dates with their kids or something. They would get me in the kitchen and be like, so as they slide that sandwich across the table,
being nosy.
Where's your mom? And as a kid, and I had the benefit of having an aunt that sent me immediately to therapy. Like, you got to go to therapy because you're going to have some issues. Like, it's going to come. So I had that in me. And the one thing therapy doesn't teach you as a kid is they teach you it's not your fault.
Right, of course.
It's not your cross to bear. So I would just be like, oh, yeah, she's dead. You know what I'm saying? And they'd be like, oh, cookies.
Yeah.
How she died? And then you get into the whole, and then you just like, and then my aunt's telling me, you don't be telling people your business, and it's like, well, I mean, I don't know any. So I definitely understand, the sense of not having and how it shapes.
Right, as an adult. And I remember that actually, like, because my aunt was married and they had a child. So I grew up with her like a sister, but she's actually my cousin. And because I heard her always say mom and dad, like, I repeated it. But it was like they shut me down, like, no, we're not your mother and your dad, we're your aunt, your uncle, But I still always felt that emptiness of being able to say mom and dad because that's what I always heard, so.
Now being... in the system, partially in the system, what do you see are some of the downfalls of placing kids in foster homes, or some of the downside? Like you said, you had an abusive an abusive situation, an abusive family. What are some of the other things that people just don't know that are going on in foster, or some of the things they need to be changed, that you feel need to be changed from being there firsthand?
The first and foremost I want to say is what you say, therapy. Like, I didn't go to therapy, and for a long time, because I didn't feel like I had a whole bunch of emotional trauma, I felt like I was fine. I don't need therapy. But as I'm getting older, I need therapy.
Yeah, we've talked about it before, like how it's like taboo in our community to go to therapy.
Everybody needs therapy. I don't care if you're normal. Yeah. Everybody needs therapy to know what I learned from therapy was what happens when you're. My therapist was an asshole. Great guy, Dr. Johnson. Dr. Roosevelt Martin Johnson, really qualified guy. I would have days where I would have amazing days. I come into therapy skipping, like, look, we could talk about the baseball game last night. It was great. And he'd be like, let's talk about your mom and your dad. And I'd be like, nah, not today. And he'd be like, no, let's talk about that. He says, you're going to have times where you're going to be on cloud nine and something's going to hit and it's going to drag you all the way down. So how do you deal with that? Yeah. So you said therapy was one of the things that
I felt like I should have been, like, that should have been placed in my upbringing, but it wasn't. So, like I said, because I didn't go through what they went through. I mean, I went through things, and I hate to compare them because they were both unfortunate. But, right. Like, I felt like I was trained to feel like, oh, ain't nothing happened to me that serious where I need therapy. Like, I'm fine. But in all naturality, it was me
mandatory for us
a long time to realize as an adult now, I need therapy.
Now, how do you feel about it being...
It was mandatory. When I was in a group home, it was mandatory. Every kid had to see a therapist, like, at least 2 or 3 days out of the week. I really didn't feel like I needed to see a therapist. For some reason, I don't know. Maybe because I always talked about it. I feel like I let it out already, so I really didn't feel the need, but I went because she used to teach me sign language, but she was really cool.
Did you get any
But
benefit from it, or
yeah, she
you
was
did?
really nice. I forgot her name, but she was really nice. But I really felt like I didn't need her. And like the sessions would be so short, and we just go on teaching sign language because I don't know if I talk too much for her or I don't. I don't know. I
So
didn't
you don't
really
feel
need
like
it.
that affected you like now as an adult? You don't feel like you need it no more?
No, mm-mm, I don't. I guess because I faced it. I told myself what it was. I'm not hurt. I'm living. I'm breathing.
Right.
I mean, it's the past. I accepted it. I mean, I wish I could say mom. But one thing I noticed, I never called, um, like, since I've been adopted, I never called, like, the person that adopted me mom. Like, my first adopted parent, I always called her grandma. It's just like I always had to put something in it. It couldn't just be mom or, like, Miss Pat. I always called her Miss Pat. I just couldn't, I don't know why, but I just felt like I couldn't say the word mom. That was my only thing. When I got adopted. But as far as the therapist thing, I really didn't feel the need for it. But
Well, I'm gonna tell you the thing with therapy. When you tell people like, "Yo, I'm okay," and they be like, "Are you really?" And you be
Right.
like, "Yeah, actually, I am."
But
And they be like, "Are
I
you
will
really?"
actually
Right?
start
No. I'm
talking to
agreeing
her.
with you though, because what
You
I'm
know,
saying is
like,
certain people, I think the
don't-
way they look at the world is different, and they can understand certain things. And some people can't. And I've had conversations with some people where their mind is completely different than mine. And mine's is like, I'm open to that stuff. And they like, oh, well, I couldn't do it. And it's like, well, yeah, you probably would need to talk to somebody. Or not to say I don't need to talk to somebody, but maybe I can handle it a little bit more than you can. And I think just certain people are built differently than others,
Right,
So,
that's what I
so I
believe.
understand exactly where you're coming
Yeah.
from. Like, I'm okay with it.
I mean,
It's cool.
I
Like,
forgave my parents. I mean, my mom, she was on drugs. My dad, he was locked up. And I mean, I don't even remember. You was living in paradise at the time, and I think this was the first time I seen our mother for the first time. But when I first saw her, I didn't even know what to think. I didn't know if I should go and greet her, give her a hug, or say hello, introduce myself, because it felt like I don't know her. But it just felt kind of, I don't know. I didn't know what to expect in that moment. But I forgave her. We talked. We're really close right now to this day. She's very spiritual, and she could curse you out and still like love you and pray for you at the same time. But my mom, she's not the perfect mom, but she's working on it. She never put her hands on us, even though we get on her nerves. Like, she never put her hands on us. She will always walk away. She's a great babysitter. She's a neat freak. She love to cook. She love to clean. And I always wondered, she would have been a good mom if it wasn't for the drugs. Like, just seeing her doing what she's doing now for her grandkids, and just to sit and witness that she was okay, but it just was the drugs that made her turn a different way in life. But today she's still getting herself together. Every day is a challenge for everyone. When you're trying to overcome drugs or any kind of addiction. But I don't see all bad in her. She's still my mom at the end of the day. I still have to respect her. It's in the Bible. Respect your mom and your parents. Your days should. You know the rest. But I really love my mom, and I forgave the situation, and I feel like she understood what she did was wrong. We talked about it, and I told her, I said, it's fine, because your bad choice in life was like a good opportunity for me in life, because I met so many great people, and I'm just like so blessed and so thankful for that opportunity, and I'm strong. I know what decisions to make. I've been through everything, so it's like, it was like college. Being in a group home was like college. Like, we party, we had fun. We went to school, we snuck out. Seen the boys up the street, but it was just like college. They was my family. I embraced them. So it was like a learning experience and a loving experience at the same time. Like, I feel like I didn't lose anything. I feel like I gained more than what I lost.
I see what you're saying.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
That's a
You
good way to look at it.
you kind of, it's funny listening to you talk to say, like, because you felt like you didn't need therapy, but the way you approach it is everything that my therapist told me. It's not your problem, that's your parents' problem. Forgiveness, move on with your life, be strong. So it's like you were saying, everybody doesn't need therapy necessarily. Some people find it on their own. Did you find, was there something, was there an adult or an activity or a coach that just gave you that outlook?
I would say it was probably the staff. There was a lady named Miss Howard. She passed, Janice Howard. She was like a mother to us, and she always had that open ear, and you could talk to her about anything. So I came across a lot of good people. So I don't know if I got an old soul, or I don't know if I don't know what it is, but I just opened up, I guess, and I just embraced it. And
Your therapy came in a less formal, setting. Like, you didn't have to sit on the couch and sit with somebody with a legal pad, and they just,
Right.
We'll see you next week.
Jotting.
You never get to see.
Jotting.
I'm so curious as what's in my notes, because he jotted a lot. It's a lot of notes, and you don't get to know what that is.
Exactly.
But for me, that was the therapy I got. But I guess your therapy was less formal. Somebody to just listen. But I guess by her being in that situation, being in a foster care situation, she's used to, being that type of therapist. So maybe you got the therapy that you.
And I can understand.
I mean, I don't know if it helped, but I mean, I wasn't like, I didn't feel like I really needed to talk to someone, because I was talking to a lot of people already. I was talking to the staff, I was talking to my friends, I was talking to a lot of people. So when I went to her, I was just happy to be there because she was so cool, and she was teaching me sign language, and she had snacks, and we had our little rap sessions, and then I don't know.
I think like kind of like what you said, like you kind of look at it in a different perspective. Like, I honestly feel like, and this is just my opinion, and I'm speaking for my own self, I feel like you've got to a point where you block so much out around you, you make yourself feel like you're fine. You don't need that extra additional support. That's what I did. Like, I wrote in the diary for 18 years, and I was like, when I'm 18, I don't even want to read this stuff no more. I threw it away. But, like, I was never okay as a kid. Like, I can be sitting here playing with you. You thinking I'm the cool kid on the block. I really want to go over your house, but you want to come over my house. I hated it, everything about it. But I always made myself feel like I'm just, everything around me is, I'm like tunnel vision. I don't see none of this. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to go to school and get up. I'm going to stay out the next night. So it's time for me to go in the house. So they looking for me. And this is with family. So to say all that, like, for years, I blocked it out. Like, y'all thought it was always gravy for us, and it really wasn't. So, like, saying all that to say, it took me to get over 30 to realize I'm not fine. That stuff is actually still bothering me today. And that's when I kind of feel like, oh, I thought I blocked it out, but I didn't. Because then I ain't had no choice. I didn't know what else to do.
Just put it in the box, wait for it to overflow.
You know what
Now,
I
let
mean?
me ask you this: when you did your therapy, did the therapist say anything that made you like, oh shit, I didn't even think about that, or like did they touch on things that you've already touched on, but you might not have explored? But did they literally like, wow, I never even thought about that?
So
Like,
I'm
did they
still
ever hit you
searching
with
in that therapy part, because the one time that I did find one, we had like 4 sessions, and I felt like the first 2 I probably was just rambling, and like you said, it was just like I didn't feel the connection, so I stopped going. So like till this day, I'm still searching for a therapist that I actually feel a connection with. So if y'all got some referrals, give them to me.
Two really good.
Because I don't feel like, I don't like talking to somebody, and you gotta do your job. You're gonna write it down. But if I don't feel the physical connection to just know that I'm not rambling and I'm actually getting that peace and that calm that I need, then I'm not comfortable here.
My therapist was really thoughtful. I went to Saturday sessions, anger management sessions, and I went to once a week, twice a week at first, and once a week. And he really, it's funny, I can hear him talking in my head now. Are those Carl helping thoughts or Carl hurting thoughts?
The helping
and I'd be
thoughts.
like, man, hurting thoughts. And he'd be like, I mean, so how does that make you? He was really, really got me to think. I told people he drove me crazy. Because I told people I can identify now when I'm about to lose it, but I still can't stop it. So I mean, probably need to go back at this point in my life, but I can identify like, yo, I'm about to lose it. I'm about to go into crazy mode. Like I can feel it brewing. So stop. But if you don't stop, it'll keep. But it definitely helped me put everything into perspective. Like that's my dad's problem. That's my mom's problem. So I don't have to deal with it anymore. So that gave me a level of forgiveness. He got me to identify people as not just my parents, but as people themselves, as flawed individuals. So, you're looking at them as these heroes, and they're just people. They're not your heroes. They're just people, and they're gonna bump, they're gonna knock stuff over, they're gonna fall, they're gonna disappoint, and that's just what people do. That's what I got from it. And like I said, now that I'm 35, I'm thinking to myself, I should probably start going back again because now there's other things that I'm dealing with that are products of stuff that I went through before. So the way I carry my relationship, my relationship with my son, all of that has to do with what I saw previously. Right. So it definitely shaped the way I look at it now. But I'll definitely, when we finish, I'll give you the number. I don't have his number, but I'll give you the name. He and his wife are really, really good therapists there. And then, like I say, sometimes you got to go see your own. To understand the whole grandma's your parent and that type of thing. So I'll definitely see some good people. Crazy.
So is adoption something that y'all would do? Like having done the whole thing, would you adopt?
If I had like a huge house, I would be like Angelina Jolie, like 10
I
different
always wanted to. I always wanted to adopt before I had
especially
kids.
a boy.
Yeah.
I don't have no.
Like I said, these were supposed to be my first adoptive kids, but I realized I was like only a couple years older than them. So really, how was I going to be able to man that? But even before I had my 2 kids, like I've always wanted to adopt. So yeah, that's definitely.
I know one thing with the adoption process is the babies always get picked. Like as you get older in the system, you get lost in the system. See, that's what I'm saying, right? Because the older ones, right, special needs, they get exactly right.
And the daycare fees and. First grade, I'm good.
Hey,
first grade,
beast, man. Daycare, man. $1,100. I pay $1,100.
I want to sleep at night. I want to skip the whole little baby stage.
But see, then there's the difference. Like, in my opinion, again, I feel like you have to ask people: do you want to adopt or do you want to foster? I want to adopt. I salute the people that foster. Foster is that child can come live with you, but when you're ready for that child to roll out,
or when
they roll out, it's like a job. They're getting paid for
that's
it.
A foster
you know what I'm saying? So I don't really feel like it's nothing genuine. I feel like you're doing that as a job. You know
so
what
adoption
I mean?
is official.
Adoption is official.
Your family.
Like
you're
that's
part,
my
you're
family.
part of the family.
Okay.
For the long, you're in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
Marriage,
No
all
deal
that type
breakers,
of
no
stuff.
Like
nothing.
my first adoptive parent, her name is on my birth certificate.
Okay.
So like once you get adopted, it's like,
Exactly.
That's your child. I mean, she was getting a check. I'm sure. Yeah, she was. She was getting a check, but it has its ups and downs too. When I was living with my first adopted family, she was kind of cheap. She was like she was 63. That's what it said on the birth certificate when she adopted me. And she was kind of cheap. Like, she would have her biological family drinking regular whole milk. Me and my sister, we would drink canned milk that she would get, like, from, people passing out food.
I thought the canned milk just went in the
whole milk. Man, we used to have canned milk, half and half with water. And so,
stuff like that. Yeah,
exactly. The free milk.
Are you sure?
But I'm positive.
And I'm asking because I
We used
remember
to
plenty
eat
of times
rice and
going
milk.
over there eating this meal with them.
She was
that
a
she's
good cook.
referring
I'm not
to.
gonna say she was a bad cook, but she was a good cook. But she had her little ups and downs, like when
So
it
there was
came
definitely
to the cheap level.
things
Favoritism.
It was
because
because
favoritism to her kids, towards her children.
because I had a cousin. Her name was Siobhan, and she was staying with us. It was my sister Chris and Siobhan. It was 3 of us. And sometimes my other cousin, he would come over, and he was funny. He was a little picky eater, whatever. And they always had whole milk. And I'm like, I don't like this canned milk. It tastes kind of weird, It was, I don't know. Even when it was cold, it still wasn't good. It just was like that aftertaste or something. But we always had to drink the canned milk, and they drank the good milk. So that was the only thing I didn't like about that. But she was cheap. I don't know if she was old, but old people sometimes they stuck in their ways, and they try to save a penny. So
You ain't buying no extra milk.
sometimes you gotta
so
and
many questions.
She was giving y'all the good milk. That's what it was. The canned milk was
when
the
it
good
came
milk.
to the shoes,
No.
you know what I'm saying? I remember I used to like sneak like a pair of my best friend's shoes to school, or I was like, Grandma, can we get some Reeboks? Like everybody wearing Reeboks, we would get the Payless shoes, or my cousins they would get the New Balance because he was a boy, and then she would say fashion is more, a boy has to look a certain way, and it's cheaper, for the girls. You can find cheap, cute stuff, and the boys, they'll mess up their stuff with the cheap shoes. It'll fall apart or whatever.
Sound like a bunch of
But
bullshit.
exactly.
That's why I'm like, I have so many
I just
questions.
didn't want to pay
Some
that
bullshit.
$40-something for the Reeboks, but our allowance was $5 a week. So, but at an early age, living with her, I think I went to the laundromat when I was probably like 7 or 8. It was probably a block away. We used to put our clothes in a pillowcase. That was our bag to carry our clothes. Put it all in a pillowcase and walk down the streets in the laundromat. But it's memories or whatever. But it's like they're funny, so I can laugh at it. But she had a little cheap moments. It was kind of funny, but
I ain't laughing.
I don't know. I guess that was her way of.
Why I need a can opener to drink my milk?
You know, that half
Listen.
and half.
That was that carnation.
Yeah, right. You gotta put that water in it, though.
It was not
Yes,
You gotta put the water in it.
It
No.
was terrible.
One thing that you said that I always tell people, I think that my life would have been so much different, so much more different had I had both of my parents. And I kind of think of the child that I was before before I was taken from them. Mm-hmm. And I don't think I would have enjoyed the person that I would have been today. Mm-hmm. My brother gets so mad when I say that. Like the person that I feel like I would have been the person that I would have wanted to beat up around the corner. Like I hate that nigga.
I get you,
man. And I think that not having or having that taken from me or taking that alternate path kind of gave me an appreciation for people, things, and it just made me a better person. Do you feel like maybe in another situation you wouldn't have came out? Because you saying your strength, you got your strength from there, your motivation and all that. Do you think that in another situation or in the opposite situation, you wouldn't have been the same person that you?
Sometimes, yeah. And I actually thought about that before. Like if I didn't, if I wasn't brought up in a system or if I didn't get adopted, like would I be this tough? Would I be this, independent? Would I be this? Would I be that? Or would I be like this stuck-up kid that's spoiled or, And sometimes I think about that a lot. I really do. I think about that. I don't know. I really can't say, but I'm glad that it didn't turn out that way. That sounds weird, but I like my struggle and I like my independence and how I came up, and I don't regret it at all. I don't.
Where you are now is, you're happy to be where you are. You're happy to pulled yourself up from where you.
Coming from my circumstances, yes, I'm very happy. I'm very blessed because it wasn't the most easy situation. Growing up at the age that I was so young, just experiencing everything with no parents and, just trying to find, love from a stranger and, motivation and just words, I love you, I care about you, stuff like that, it kind of wakes you up a little bit, mm-hmm. and you kind of embrace it and just to hear those words, that was your encouragement. That was your motivation to do the positive thing. Everybody want to see the bad thing. They think because a child is in the system, they're going to fail or they're going to fall to the streets or they're going to, I was just always the one that was trying to motivate the other kids there so we won't be what people think we're going to be, so they used to call me the little nerd geek because I was like, come on, it's 8 o'clock, we got to get up. Oh, we late. Or, trying to rush them and get them up. And Tyra was my roommate when I was in a group home. And she's, like, successful. she's like living the American dream right now, and I'm so proud of her. You know, I motivated her. I encouraged her to go to school. She went to school. She went to college. She got married. She's just doing so good for herself. You know, and at her wedding, we spoke about that, and she was like embracing that. She glad that she had me. You know, because of her, when I got adopted to my second family, I asked my adopted mom, her name was Miss Pat. I asked her, can she take my roommate? And she was like, yeah. So she was like, you sure? I was like, yeah. She probably thought I would get jealous, because I wasn't even there for probably like a month, and I'm asking for her to bring somebody else. So she was probably like, are you going to be okay with that? And I was like, yeah, I'm totally fine with that. That was my roommate. I'm actually sad because we're apart. So she bought her. So we was living together. And from then, I've always been a motivation for Tyron. We've been like white on rice.
But you born with your relatives, but you pick your family. I mean, that's just something that you pick the people that you choose to spend that time with, the people that motivate you. You stuck with your relatives, but that's good that you were able to. That's nice that you able to and not selfishly was like, forget about her. I got me. I got me a roof. Like
Smart.
her, she all right over there. That's that's really dope. That's really dope.
Yeah, and she's doing really good, really really good. So. I mean, that was my girl. Like I said, I met some good friends, good peoples, and I'm just thankful.
So before we wrap up, anything that you want people to know about adoption, foster care, or any motivation to get somebody to go out there and check out if somebody's looking, for a family that's they can't reproduce or that has extra space or has a lot of love to give. Anything you want to tell them about,
The only thing I would just say is just embrace who you are. Regardless what your struggles are, regardless what your background is, just embrace who you are. I feel like if you're able to in any situation love yourself and be able to accept yourself, you can get through anything. Like she said, that was probably her therapy herself. Being able to just know that she was okay and she was comfortable in her own skin despite what everything was going around with her. That's just always been my whole, my own inspiration. So that would be my inspiration to anybody. Just embrace yourself. Like, if you got to tell yourself at the end of the day, I love you, then say it. At the end of the day, you're going to keep you moving.
Be your own motivation. Yeah.
Well, thank you, ladies, so much for sharing your story, man. That was deep. I mean, not very many people are going to come up here and share that much about themselves. So we really, really thank you for that.
Thank you for having us.
Chuck,
thank you.
Nah, appreciate it. Yeah, definitely.
That was dope. Well, for National Adoption Month, I guess that's it, right? I am your man, C.
Yeah, man.
Always.
Wagner, man. As always.
You guys can sign off.
Lavita, thanks for having us. Good night.
Jackie, thank you. Good night.
Shout out to Jen. Take care of them babies. We love you. Hopefully see you next week. And this has been another edition of the one, the only, the
Two Real Radio.
I was going to say it that time.
Nah, sorry about
Thanks a
that.
lot.
40 loops, new Jones since 22.